Ossie Davis says about the civil rights movement, that if you were on the left, the civil rights movement gave you the safety to be on the left. And I think that's what people like Malcolm X, and I think, Miri Baraka, and, all the people in the Black Arts Movement, Sonia Sanchez, in a way, they were left. And they allowed you to be black and left. But the other thing that is kind of ironic is that it was really also the nuns and priests that helped to move me in radical directions. Because, the same period where, there's this strong black power and black arts movement, there's also a real dialogue going on in the Catholic Church between the radicals and the liberals and the conservatives. And all of the nuns and priests that I was close to were challenging the Catholic Church and challenging the doctrine and challenging the authoritarianism of the church and its sexism. I was around those people, knew those people, and was close to them. So, I got a real double dose of leftism.
Right. So who are the figures in the book, and how did you choose them? Some of them will be familiar to our audience. Some of them might be people who you don't know. So this is a Schaumburg audience, so they know everybody. But how did you come to the figures, and how did you decide who to include?
I don't think I can remember that anymore. It kind of emerged organically. I met Lloyd Brown. I don't even remember how, but I invited him to the University of Maryland. He gave a talk, and we began to correspond. And he began to talk to me about what kind of literature had been left out of our literary anthologies. And the more I looked into the work that he had done, I realized this was an important figure in Black literary history, and he's nowhere. He wasn't in any anthology anywhere. And he's published a novel, 1951, Iron City, but even more than that novel, he published this two-part essay called Which Way for the Negro Writer, published in Masses and Mainstream, and it's a fabulous essay. It's a fabulous essay for talking about what is the direction of African American literature, because it would have been Negro literature then, and what are the ways in which we're being pulled into conservative directions. That was kind of the motivation for his writing these essays. And part of the motivation was that he had read this symposium in Fireline magazine in 1950, in which one of the questions that was asked in Fireline was, do you think that Negro writers are moving toward an unlabeled future in which race will play no part in their existence? It was one of those kind of leading questions. And there were 23 respondents. And here's Lloyd Brown sitting in his little Manhattan co-op, and he's reading Fireline magazine, and he's thinking, what are these people talking about? An unlabeled future, that, segregation is on the outs, integration is just around the corner, and it's a fast disappearing aberration. That was one of the terms that they used about racism. And he was just, appalled and outraged, and wrote this essay to respond to it, in which, and he has a very interesting line in it where he says, Negro literature has not been Negro enough. And so, that would be, is not Black enough now. He's saying this in 1951, and that whole exchange, so Fireline presents this symposium with 23 of, quite well-known academics, writers, intellectuals. Gwendolyn Brooks was in it, Robert Hayden was in it, Hugh Gloster, not Sterling Brown, anyway, illustrious people. And he responds, and there's only one person in that Fireline symposium that writes back to him, it's Blyden Jackson. But my point is, here you have this three-way debate on the most important issues of the day. Where are they? They're not preserved in our history, so we don't even know that there's this major struggle between people who are, racially and politically conservative, and people like Lloyd Brown that want to push things to the left. We don't even know that that went on.
Right.